5 minutes. I welcome the opportunity to take part in this debate, and I want to thank Deputy Fitzmaurice and Deputy Marion Harkin and Deputy Michael McNamara. It wasn't a motion that I could co-sign, but I recognise their bona fides, and I see where they're coming from, and it's important that the focus is put on this very significant initiative from Europe to let fulsome information go out, and the importance of it, and the voluntary nature of it, and the implementation being left up to each state. I think that's very important. It is most disingenuous, unhelpful and dangerous to set up a false divide between us and them, between the rural areas and other TDs. I have the privilege of representing a diverse constituency, 3 islands, Inishbofin, in addition to the 3 Aran Islands, Connemara, Galway City to South Mayo. And I certainly have stood up here repeatedly on the side of the small farmers, for fishermen, and if I had time I would go into how the EU policies have systematically undermined those livelihoods. However, I firmly believe that a balanced rural development is important for the solutions that we need to impose. I want to start by thanking Dr. Yvonne Ní Shúilleabháin and the recent publication of the Citizens' Assembly. And I won't have time, but I want to say what she said. Utterly frustrating, a fundamental disappointment in the capacity demonstrated by the state to coherently and deliberately tackle biodiversity loss. And it's in that context that she goes on, and the 100 representatives, to make 159 recommendations. We are consistently, she said in introduction, losing our hedgerows, likened by one speaker to the blood supply system of the countryside. Only 2% of the country is native woodland. Over a quarter of Ireland's regularly occurring bird species are in danger of extinction. At least 1/3 of protected species are declining in population, an invisible tragedy happening both on land and water. Almost 30% of our semi-natural grasslands have been lost. Less than half of our marine environment can be described as healthy. That's the latest. It's actually not the latest, because the latest is the European Court of Justice on the 29th of June. Ireland had breached its obligations under the Habitats Directive. Earlier on in the year, we had other research, I think, from Belfast telling us more losers than winners. Researchers from Queen's University Belfast, May 2023, 48%, almost half of over 71,000 species included in their analysis are undergoing population decline. Report states that global diversity, life on Earth, is entering its 6th mass extinction. I have 2 minutes. I can't read out all of that, but it's in the background of declaring an emergency, a climate emergency in 2019, a biodiversity emergency. And we're here today in relation to a specific regulation that leaves flexibility to each country. However, I share some of the concerns on the ground from the ordinary person in relation to the EU, in relation to the double policies and the double speak. So while there's an emphasis on this, and it's very important, there are also warmongering. There's also a military-industrial complex that completely will take away any of our targets in relation to climate change. So there's a double and a treble speak going on. There's also the continuation of the trading emissions. The very same concept of market taking charge, or market being the most important thing, is progressing in terms of emissions. So it's I'm completely cynical when it comes to the EU in relation to their double speak. On this particular issue, I have no difficulty with it. I deplore what has happened in relation to the various MEPs, one from Sinn Féin, the others from Fine Gael, and what they have done instead of sticking with the process and bringing appropriate amendments. And I stand here today, and honestly, it is nauseating that we're continuing on with a false debate in the face of an existential crisis that we face. And Dr. Yvonne Ní Shúilleabháin referred to the meitheal. This is the most fundamental concept, the meitheal, that we would be in this together to face the threat that we have, not by punishment, but by us recognising that the only way out of this, there will be no future for small or big farmers if we do not embrace the steps that we need to take. Garmach.